Always, troops carried out the changing of the guard outside Lenin's tomb. But Russians in Red Square were joyous as they welcomed the new year free of the communist state founded by Lenin. At the same time, though, a cloud was hanging over their celebrations, a cloud of fear over what's to come, and fear of an economic shock of soaring inflation as 70 years of state-controlled prices end with the old year. ABC's John Donovan has that story.
The final hours of 1991 in Moscow, hours that a lot of people spent still waiting in line. Stores are closed tomorrow, and New Year's Day is when Russians give each other gifts under what the West calls Christmas trees, known here simply as fir trees. Tonight, the streets around the Kremlin were dressed up for the occasion. But on the shopping lines, the mood this evening was far from festive. They were rationing candy in this store, and on Thursday, when the Russian government lifts price controls, almost everything will be more expensive. This man, who will give his grandsons hockey sticks tomorrow, says one difference between this New Year's and last is that there will be less on the table. On the bread line, a man named Kudryashov said Boris Yeltsin should see the empty shelves. Another one nearby said, things are 10 times more expensive than last year. My salary is only 3 times higher. What is good about that? Yet people are still getting by, and no one said he would not have enough food or drink to celebrate at home tonight. Outside the vodka store on a dark side street, this woman told us she and her husband have been saving up champagne, cognac, and caviar for tonight. Many others have done the same. What worries people is what happens when the food they've stored away runs out. A concern that weighs more heavily than any sense of triumph felt for the democratic victories of 1991. Fine people say that Russia's flag has replaced the hammer and sickle. But an economy that works, that would be something to look forward to in '92. John Donovan, ABC News, Moscow.
The year ended with an armed showdown in one of the former Soviet republics. With no outside power to settle the dispute, rebels in Georgia are escalating their battle to overthrow the elected president. The rebels kept up their siege of the Parliament building today, where the president is trapped with his loyal troops. Other government soldiers arrived by tank and armored personnel carrier as the rebels threatened to storm the building. More than 50 people have been killed in a week of fighting so far. Artillery fire and gun battles shook the Republic of Croatia on New Year's Eve. Yugoslavia's forces shelled a Croatian town, and a news agency reports some of the heaviest fighting so far. Serbia's president agreed to a plan for United Nations peacekeeping troops today, but the UN envoy, Saras Vance, says they won't be sent in while the fighting is going on.
Until we have a durable ceasefire, we cannot go forward with the peacekeeping operation. And that is not happening. Indeed, the fighting even seems more severe than the last time that I was here.
More than a dozen ceasefires have been declared in Yugoslavia's civil war, but all of them have failed. But there was a bright spot in the Far East today. North and South Korea reached a draft agreement to ban nuclear weapons. North Korea is said to be about a year away from making a bomb. A spokesman for the South Korean government said today's agreement will help establish peace between the two countries, which are still, technically, at least, at war. Hunger has ended a 6-week occupation of the Canadian embassy in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. 17 emaciated Haitians surrendered to police today. They staggered out and lay moaning on the ground until military vehicles hauled them off to hospital. The anti-government rebels seized the embassy on November 20th to demand political asylum. But External Affairs refused to because of their threats to Canadian diplomats and their ties to Libyan and Cuban radical groups. Still to come in tonight's news, looking ahead, where your money is going to go next year, and that mess in the mailbox. The newest environmental battleground.
Junk mail has this incredible waste factor that can't be ignored for any longer.
Saving trees, saying no to those flyers.
You guys sure send a lot of faxes.
Oh, yeah. I figure we have to fax every major city in North America at least once a month.
What do you think it costs?
Oh, I don't know. It costs what it costs. It's the cost of doing business. I never thought about it.
Well, Let's think about it.
Faxcom from Bell. We offer consistent savings on long-distance faxes in Canada and the U.S. Call us and save.
You guys sure send a lot of faxes. What do you think it costs?
I don't know.
Subscribe now to Faxcom and save 3 months subscription fee.
Do not go unnoticed by it. Making good environmental choices isn't easy. We can help. We examine products scientifically, impartially, and put our mark on those that are less harmful. Look for the environmental choice symbol on a growing number of products if you're in the market for a better world.
Well, New Year's forecasts are always risky, but there are some things that can confidently be predicted. Most of them have to do with the fixed costs we all have to pay for life's little essentials. There will be increases in some government charges, but some benefits will also be increased. For example, the cost of a stamp for a first-class letter within Canada will rise to 42 cents. Plus, you'll have to pay 3 cents GST. Unemployment insurance contributions for the average worker will go up by $52. On the benefits side, maximum family allowances in most provinces and territories will rise by 95 cents to just under $35. Rates in Alberta and Quebec are calculated differently, but will be similar. Canada pension plan payments will rise by 5.8%. In 1992, another element of the free trade agreement between Canada and the United States will come into effect. Duty on most goods brought into Canada from the U.S. will drop by between 1 and 4%. Another prediction that seems quite safe is that the goods and services tax will stay around essentially unchanged in spite of much adverse public reaction. Many Canadians who have kept track of their GST payments say it's costing them much more than the government forecasts claimed it would. One such person is Lily Stokes of Calgary. Every day for the past year, Lily Stokes has gathered her receipts, and from them she knows exactly how much she has paid in GST. She says the total is shocking.
We have spent $777.57 in total.
That's almost twice what the Stokes Conservative MP estimated the cost the retired couple would be living on a pension would spend.
She thought that the average Canadian, like two people, in our situation probably would spend maybe $390, maybe around a little bit over $400 a year.
Stokes, who is just short of being able to claim a GST refund, says the tax is pushing her toward financial instability.
Do you and your family feel that you are better off or worse off at this time than you were 1 year ago?
We are definitely worse off.
The Tory Member of Parliament for Calgary Southwest, Barbara Sparrow, agrees people feel overtaxed.
There's no doubt about it. But the Canadians are also demanding services, and if they want those services, they're going to have to pay for them. I think what you'll see is a lot more expenditures cut in Mr. Mazinkowski's budget.
We'll have more tomorrow night on the reactions of ordinary Canadians to the goods and services tax, now 1 year old. Prime Minister Mulroney sees the coming year as one in which special efforts must be made on behalf of Canadians in need. Here's an excerpt from the Prime Minister's New Year's message.
In wishing all Canadians the blessings of health, security, and success, our thoughts go out in a very special way to those who are experiencing personal difficulties at this time. We've got to work tirelessly, and we shall, to ensure better times for those Canadians most in need.
The hard economic times have claimed another well-known victim in the retailing field. Sterling Optical Corporation announced today from its New Jersey headquarters that it has filed for bankruptcy court protection. It's not clear at this point how the company's Canadian stores will be affected. An important concern for Canadians this year has been the whole issue of garbage, where to put it, and more important, how to reduce it. For the new year, environmentalists are targeting junk mail, all of that unsolicited paper that winds up in our mailboxes. As Dave Wren reports, a coalition of environmental groups has declared March 13th a national day of protest.
Another day, another pile of junk mail. Over 13 billion ads in one form or another were delivered in 1991, more than 1,000 per household. Montreal declared itself junk-free this year, prohibiting door-to-door delivery of flyers without a city permit. Stickers are also available to anyone who wants to declare their mailbox off limits, but Canada Post ignores it.
Hi there. I'm a neighbor from up on Westvale Drive.
The post office also ignored Paul Sutka's petition to stop deliveries in Waterloo, so Sutka declared war.
The only thing we're trying to achieve is the right to say no to it, so that your house is not a stepping stone to a landfill site for this garbage.
No one disputes the environmental cost. Junk mail is piling up in landfill sites. It also consumes at least 3 million trees annually.
Junk mail has this incredible waste factor that can't be ignored for any longer.
Sutka and his supporters formed a new environmental group called Maple Key. They want Canada Post and direct marketing firms to adopt new standards.
The reason there's so much of it is simple. It works.
Canada Post delivers about 30% of the so-called ad mail that direct marketing firms generate every year. It's also one of the main sources of revenue for the post office.
We can't censor your mail or you don't get any. And ad mail is mail.
Canada Post has done surveys suggesting a majority of households actually welcome ad mail. Direct marketing firms say they're ready to meet environmental challenges head on.
Obviously, there's a growing concern about privacy issues, ones that we have to be sensitive to.
The industry has already made it easy to remove names and addresses from mailing lists. Now it's promising to reduce the volume of ad mail because firms are getting better at targeting potential customers.
You'll no longer get any junk mail, because junk mail is generally defined as stuff that's irrelevant to you. What you're going to get is stuff that's carefully selected, material advertising that reflects one of your interests.
Industry promises are one thing, but environmental groups simply don't believe there's going to be any reduction in the volume of junk mail that's delivered every day. That's why they're going ahead with plans for a national day of protest on March 13th, when all Canadians will be encouraged to say no to junk mail. Dave Rinn, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, the year high-tech went to war. The smart bombs that led the battle for Kuwait.
We believe that freedom of movement should be guaranteed to all people. We believe in a Canada that preserves its non-renewable resources. We believe that every citizen has the right to expect fair value for his or her dollar. We believe that everyone has the right to rest, and especially to leisure. We believe it's about time companies took responsibility for the products they sell. We believe in affordable mass transportation, the right to breathe clean air, and a nation where it's always safe to walk the streets. We're not trying to solve all the world's problems. We're just trying to build some cars we can live with. Nissan, built for the human race.
This world leader is about to discover that the greatest threat to power isn't from his enemies. It's from his friends. Christopher Plummer stars in Counter-Strike, Saturday on CTV.
Take some out of office supplies. Still not enough. We gotta cut the cars. Oh, I love that car. Can't we save on long distance? There's nothing we can do about those costs. Are you sure?
Advantage, Watts, and Teleplus. Bell has all kinds of long-distance discount packages. Call us and save.
Nice car.
Thanks. Company car. You know, my company.
Long-distance business sense from Bell.
Some pick'em for the snap. Some pick'em for the zap. Some pick that real apple slice. Some pick'em for the cinnamon dash. Pick'em for the apple crackle. But don't let a spoonful go to waste. Wholesome as they can be. Just between you and me, you pick 'em for the taste.
New apple cinnamon shreddies.
It was just 1 year ago tonight that Canadian troops were saying goodbye to loved ones and getting ready to leave Halifax for the Persian Gulf. All across the country, we were holding our collective breath and hoping against hope that Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein would heed the warnings of the United Nations Security Council and get out of Kuwait. But the January 15th deadline passed, Saddam didn't budge, and as Jim O'Connell reports, that unleashed a mother of a battle.
It was a moonless night in January when a lightning attack on Baghdad started the war and stunned the world.
Missile away!
No one had ever seen a war like this.
1 minute to launch. 1 minute, sir.
It was the real-life version of Star Wars. Smart bombs became the high-tech hit of the coalition forces, rapidly knocking out the Iraqi Air Force. But Saddam Hussein still had his Scud missiles. The fear of poison gas created scenes of panic, all broadcast live to a worldwide audience hypnotized by the drama.
What was that? What was that noise?
Dean, can you hear me? Dean Reynolds, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Peter. I don't know if you can hear me through this contraption.
Gas masks and TV ratings had become trademarks of the war, and the Patriot defense system, the savior. A week into the war, Canadian pilots completed their first offensive against Iraq.
Rocket their wings, they're gone.
But some of their coalition colleagues fell into enemy hands, prisoners used as pawns by the Iraqi regime.
I would like to tell my mother and my father and my sister that I am well treated and that they should pray for peace.
And America is angry about this.
I don't want my friends to die! I don't want anybody to die! Guys, just like Hitler! Hitler took the Rhineland and Poland! Hey, boss! What do you say? How many kids will be killed today?
The world was quickly losing patience, both with the war and with Saddam Hussein.
The coalition will give Saddam Hussein until noon Saturday to do what he must do. Begin his immediate and unconditional withdrawal from Kuwait.
Coming in! Go, go!
Here we go, Scud missile.
It was the largest ground offensive since World War II, and it was all over in just 100 hours.
Okay. No. Okay. All right. All right.
We've accomplished our mission, and when the decision makers come to the decision that there should be a ceasefire, nobody will be happier than me.
In Kuwait, they threw a liberation party that went on for weeks. The mother of all battles turned out to be 42 days of lopsided combat.
It's a mess, isn't it?
The world had easily defeated the master of miscalculation. But Saddam Hussein did succeed in leaving a legacy of devastation beyond belief. And somehow, through it all, he managed to survive. Jim O'Connell, CTV News.
With me to comment on the subject of the Gulf War and its aftermath, Middle East analyst and author Robin Wright, with us from Washington. Robin, many people say that because Saddam Hussein is still sitting there in power in Baghdad, the Gulf War operation from the Allies' standpoint was not a success. How do you respond to that?
Technically, Operation Desert Storm achieved its goal, and that was to liberate Kuwait from Iraqi domination. As long as Saddam Hussein is in power, I think the international community will continue to feel threatened.
Is it realistic to even expect that Norman Schwarzkopf and the troops could have rolled up to Baghdad and taken Hussein out?
There's no question that militarily the U.S.-led coalition could have gone into Baghdad, but I think that the cost politically would probably not have been tolerable internationally or within the region.
Is this kind of operation the sort of thing we might expect to see in the future as the world attempts to keep aggressor nations in their place?
I think that the war in the Persian Gulf really was unique in many ways, particularly because of the oil issue. But in terms of the future, the threat Iraq posed, because it had all three weapons of mass destruction, will probably in many ways be a model for the future.
And how do we assess the situation in the Middle East between Israel and its Arab allies in the wake of the Gulf War?
Well, ironically, while Saddam Hussein is still in power, the fact is the environment, the climate throughout the region changed dramatically as a result of Operation Desert Storm. The fact is that never before have both militant Arab states and Israelis sat down at a single peace table to try to end 43 years of conflict. For the first time in more than a decade, the last Western hostages, with the exception of 2 Germans, have been freed. That the environment has changed dramatically, and that way the West did get something out of the Gulf War.
So it was more than just a military victory then?
It was more, in fact, a political victory than it was a military victory.
Robin, thank you very much for being with us, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. The same to you.
We'll be back with some closing New Year's notes in a moment.
Why should you buy Glad tie and toss garbage bags? Glad tie and toss garbage bags, the easy ones with the strings attached.
Delta lasts for 12 full hours.
Would you get a load of that soup?
How could I miss it? She's here 3 times a week.
Can you believe how good she looks?
Yeah, and it's only been 8 months.
There's something special about that girl.
Regular exercise and the Special K breakfast. Only 230 calories and a good source of protein which helps maintain and repair body tissue. The Special K breakfast.
I never looked that good, even after 1.
Regular exercise and a balanced diet that includes the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's. Because you've got your own reasons for looking good.
Do you hate your dentures? Do loose wobbly plates send you from powders to paste and back? Get Ezo denture cushions. Ezo cushions your gums while it holds your dentures tight all day. No mess, no aftertaste. Ezo softens, fits easily, holds dentures tight, cushions gums in comfort, works better for many than paste or powders. So eat the foods you like. Until you can see your dentist, get Ezo denture cushions. Holds dentures tight in cushion comfort.
The year 1992 will mark the 125th anniversary of Canada, and the new year will bring extra pressure to bear on our federation. Politicians will parade before us with dire warnings about the breakup of the country, and there will be more agonized discussion about constitutional proposals. Canadians may be confused by some of that, but they have made up their minds about one thing, if we can believe a recent Gallup poll. The vast majority, including Quebecers, simply say they are proud to be citizens of this land. And on that note, we wish you a Happy New Year and close with a new version of O Canada, released last Friday and to be played tomorrow on radio stations across the country. The choir director is Brainerd Blyden-Taylor on the left, and the lead-off singer, Rita McNeil.
Love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see
Face the challenge this ski season on